Hey, Valentine's Day is coming up. It's right around the corner. Cozy Earth, you can currently get 41% off just by using our code at checkout. That offer disappears February 28th.
So take advantage of our 41% discount while it lasts, because after that, 21% isn't as good.
No, it's not as good, is it? You can find the Cozy Earth link in the show notes. Make sure you take advantage of our code before February 28th to get 41% off. InfoGo. Find the link in the show notes. Welcome to the podcast. I'm William.
And I'm Kat,
And that makes this Info on the Go.
feeding your curiosity with every show.
I love it. So I know you've been wanting to do this one for a long time, the psychology of marketing. After really researching this, there's a lot that goes into marketing that I never really thought about.
Oh, yes. Yes, this is why I put it on the list. Y-
Yeah, I mean, but have you ever walked into a grocery store or any store and you just wanted to pick up that one simple item, like you just went for batteries or chapstick or whatever, and somehow you walked out with like five things you never planned on buying?
Oh, all the time. You're standing in the aisle, you're staring at two nearly identical products. One costs more, the ingredients are the same. The cheaper option makes sense, and yet your hand reaches for the expensive brand. You don't stop to analyze it. You don't feel manipulated. It just feels like the right choice.
I see me doing that because my brain says the one that costs more is better.
Yep.
Yeah. What you don't really realize is that your decision may have already been made before you ever pick that item up. It could have been the color of the packaging, the front of the label, the placement on the shelf, or even the background music playing in the store. And maybe the smell, and we'll get into that later too.
Right. Marketing isn't just about commercials or billboards, it's applied to psychology. In fact, many modern marketing strategies are rooted in behavioral science, neuroscience, and decades of academic research on how the human brain makes decisions.
Yeah, studies show that up to 95% of purchasing decisions happen subconsciously, meaning we often decide first and justify later. Colors can trigger emotional responses. You know, Something like red, it can create urgency. Blue builds trust. Prices ending in 99 cents, well, they can make products feel, well, marginally cheaper. And even though the difference is just 1 cent, words like limited, exclusive, best selling, they activate fear of missing out and social validation. And we talked about that in our pumpkin spice episode, didn't we?
We did. We did touch on that a little bit in Pumpkin Spice.
Yeah. And I've always been told that during job interviews, you never wear red.
I kind of guessed at the whole job interview thing.
Well, I was always told, like, when I was in college and we were talking about, like, uh, I can't even, like, it was like marketing yourself. Like, you have to brand yourself when you go for a job interview or whatever. Like, I don't remember a lot of it, but I remember red was one of the colors you stayed away from. Blues, whites, um, off colors were what you wanted to go for. Things like red, black, any of the primary colors you wanted to stay clear of. Honestly and
Hmm.
truly, that's kind of what I took out of it. And if I'm
Gotcha.
wrong and there's some professor out there, let me know and I'll make a correction.
Hmm. You know, but every sound, scent, phrase, and visual cue is carefully chosen, not to inform you, but to influence you. And the most effective marketing doesn't feel like marketing at all.
Yeah, I think why don't we go take a note out of the Wizard of Oz and pull back that curtain and let's really see how marketing is quietly shaping what we want, how we trust, and what we want to buy. And you know, we don't even realize it half the time.
Well, to understand why marketing works so well, you have to understand how the brain makes decisions. Nobel Prize winning psychologist Daniel Kahneman described two models of thinking: System 1 and System 2.
Yeah, so System one, well, it's the fast, automatic, and emotional, right? It's the gut reaction. It's what makes you grab products that, well, they feel right, right? System two, on the other hand, is slow, analytical, and logical. It compares prices, reads fine prints, and asks, do I really need this? So, to put this in perspective, System one is me when we're in the grocery store. I got to get this. I got to get that. And my wife is system two. Hey, look, if you get this brand, it's like cheaper. It's the same ingredients. Hey, this one's on sale, 2 for $5, where that one's 5.99. Stop and think about it.
Right. Most purchases never even make it to System 2. Studies in behavioral economics suggest that everyday buying decisions, especially grocery subscriptions and online shopping, are overwhelmingly driven by System 1. Marketers know this. That's why ads rarely focus on spreadsheets and statistics. They focus on emotions, stories, and instincts.
Yeah, well, system one isn't just influenced by what you see. Your your brain, well, it reacts to sounds and smells and subtly nudging you before you even think about it. So it's not just what you see that influences your choices, what you hear and smell. Well, it can shape your decisions just as powerfully, often without you ever realizing it. Sound and scent are direct shortcuts, well, to system one thinking because it's emotional, fast, and automatic. I say, Kat, you take on sound and I'll take on smell.
Sounds good.
All right.
So, retailers carefully design auditory experiences to guide behavior. Slow, mellow music in a boutique or coffee shop encourages customers to linger, browse, and indulge. Fast paced tracks in a grocery store can speed up foot traffic and reduce decision fatigue. Even product sounds are engineered. The crisp snap of a chip bag, the satisfying fizz of a soda, or the solid click of a high end appliance all signal quality and pleasure. Online, sound cues like notification pings, app sounds, or unboxing audio activate dopamine pathways, making the experience memorable and emotionally engaging.
So think about that. Have you ever been in a grocery store where you've heard heavy metal playing in the background?
Not in a grocery store.
But I mean, if you did, like you could just see yourself like driving through the aisles going, I gotta get this, I gotta get that, I gotta go.
Right.
Whereas the elevator music, as I guess we can call it, where it's slow and subtle, like it kind of eases the brain into relaxing and take it easy. Like I can see how the music can pace you out.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Uh, so let's get into smell, right? Have you ever been in the grocery store where they're baking bread in the deli bakery? Uh,
Mm,
well, or the centrist in the cleaning aisle. All of
hmm
these subtle aromas of leather in the luxury store, well, they can trigger nostalgia, comfort, and desire. Companies even create signature scents to make their brands instantly recognizable. Think of hotel lobbies, car showrooms, or even airline cabins. Well, smell, it can influence time spent in a store, the they can perceive quality of the product or how much someone is willing to pay. And I'm telling you, when you go into a grocery store and they're baking bread, you want to go buy that bread
right.
or that
To-
rotisserie chicken.
oh, man.
That rotisserie
Yes.
chicken is it's the death of me.
Yeah, together, sound and smell create an immersive sensory environment that reinforces emotion and identity. Before you even read a label, compare prices, or weigh pros and cons, your ears and nose may already have nudged you toward a decision. Marketing doesn't just appeal to logic, it surrounds you in subtle cues that feel invisible but are profoundly effective.
But what about that cognitive load or decision fatigue? Your brain has limited mental energy. Every choice you make, what what you want to wear or what you're going to eat, which email to answer. Well, it drains slightly. And by the time you're shopping, your brain is it's often tired. And this is really known as decision fatigue, and marketers, well, they design around it.
Counterintuitively, though, fewer choices often sell more. Psychologist Barry Schwartz's research on the paradox of choice shows that too many options can cause anxiety, delay decisions, or stop people from buying altogether.
And that's why fast food menus highlight a few featured items instead of the entire menu. It's why Netflix doesn't show you everything that's available, right? It shows you a handful of bold thumbnails that are based on what you've watched before, which, autoplay trailers, because the algorithm has already chosen categories for you based on what you've already watched. The goal isn't to help you analyze, it's to help you decide quickly. Well, because if you were looking at their full catalog, you could go through days just looking, right?
Right.
And
Y-
that makes a lot of sense because my wife's Netflix account has movies that I would love to watch that don't even show up on mine.
Right.
And my daughter's has movies I'm like, there's no way I would ever watch this.
Exactly. Marketing is most effective when it reduces thinking. The less mental effort required, the more comfortable a decision feels. When the brain doesn't have to work hard, system one takes over and the purchase feels effortless, natural, and entirely your own idea.
So emotional triggers that really drive the purchases, right? At the core of nearly every buying decision is emotion. Uh, Even when we believe we're buying logically, emotions, well, they're really kind of steering the wheel, often quietly, and most often, most powerfully. And marketers, they don't sell products first. They actually focus on the feelings, and that's what they're trying to sell you. When you go in and you're going into the grocery store or you're going into like any retail store, the mannequins, the displays, they're set up to make you feel a certain way, like comfort. Like in the winter times, you see pot pies and like comfort foods, and in the summer times, you see like ice creams and things like that. Like I don't know how to describe what I'm saying, but uh, they sell that feeling, like that comfort. Like, hey, it's summertime, you need ice cream. It's wintertime, you need to feel warm inside.
Right. But that's also why you see all of the packaging change for every holiday.
Yeah, yeah, you do because it sells it it's selling a feeling like you see the Christmas packaging, you see the Easter packaging, and it could be something like what was it I saw different I think it was like some kind of pack of noodles. And I'm like, they really have a Christmas wrap on this?
Yeah. Some things I'm like, okay, if you say so.
Yeah, like okay, I guess I'll sing Holly Jolly Christmas while I'm eating these.
Right. But there's also a scarcity and loss aversion. Fear is one of the strongest motivators in human behavior, and marketing uses it with surgical precision.
Yeah, when you see that message like only two left in stock, or while supplies last, or offer ends tonight, it really triggers that scarcity bias, the instinctive belief that rare things are more valuable. And then your brain, well, it treats it as a survival signal. Act now or lose out. I can 100% say yeah to that.
Right. Your brain reacts as if losing the opportunity would hurt more than missing the product. And in other words, losing $20 hurts more than winning $20, which feels good.
It feels amazing.
But that's why marketing often frames choices around what you might miss rather than what you might gain. So don't miss out. Last chance while supplies last.
But that fear isn't just about the product, is it? It's about the regret.
Yes,
Like, oh man,
I
there
miss
was,
it.
yeah, there was only two Pikachus and they're now gone.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I mean, we see this every day at our day job, so.
Yeah. But what about pleasure and reward? The dopamine effect. Um, Not all emotional triggers are negative. Many are rooted in pleasure and anticipation because your brain, well, it releases dopamine not just when you get something, but when you expect to get it. That's why countdown timers, pre-orders, coming soon announcements, that's why all of these are so effective because the anticipation, it becomes rewarding. Yeah, like Prime Day. It's coming up. You're going to be able to get this on Prime Day or
Mhm.
Black Friday sales.
Hmm.
I know we're a ways away from Christmas, but that's really what I'm thinking about in my brain.
Right.
Or what about those?
Father's Day sales,
Yeah,
Mother's Day sales.
and those summer flash sales.
Yep.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I apologize.
No, you're fine. But this also explains the rise of unboxing videos. So watching someone slowly reveal a new phone, pair of shoes, or gadget activates the same reward pathways as opening it yourself. The sound of the packaging, the layers, the reveal, it's all engineered to extend that dopamine hit and associate the brand with pleasure and excitement.
Oh man. And in many cases, the emotional high peaks before the product is even used. I can't say that I get into those, but watching the people pull that little film off of the screens,
Hmm.
that is so satisfying to me.
I like watching color mixing videos.
So belonging and identity, buying who you are. Because all of us humans, well, we're social creatures and we use objects to signal who we are and who we want to be. And brands like Apple, Nike, uh, they don't just sell products, they sell identities. Apple signals creativity and innovation, Nike signals determination and performance. And Patagonia, well, it signals environmental values and social responsibility. And, to be honest with you, I think when you're looking at brands nowadays, you're thinking about that social responsibility and what their impact is on the environment. And I think really you're buying that identity. You're buying that what that brand is trying to sell you. We're doing X, Y, and Z, right?
Right. When a product feels right, it's often because it aligns with your self image. The unspoken message is this product says something about you. Marketing that taps into identity doesn't ask, do you want this? It asks, is this who you are? So
Good.
once a brand becomes part of your identity, loyalty follows and price matters less.
Coca-Cola.
Pepsi.
The strongest marketing doesn't convince, it resonates by tapping into fear, pleasure, and belonging. Brands don't just influence what you buy, they shape how you feel, what you anticipate, and how you see yourself in the world. I see myself in the world holding a Coke.
I see myself in the world holding a Pepsi. Maybe even a cherry Pepsi.
Bottle of water now.
Mm-mm. Cognitive biases that marketers exploit. The human brain is wired for shortcuts. These mental shortcuts are also known as cognitive biases, and they help us make fast decisions in a complex world. But in marketing, those same shortcuts are deliberately triggered to guide what we buy, often without us noticing.
And then what about that? The anchoring, the power of the first number. Your brain latches onto the first piece of information it sees and uses it as a reference point. And this is called anchoring. So that's why a jacket might be listed as originally $300, now 149. Even if the 149 is still expensive, Well, it feels reasonable compared to the first number you saw, and the original price becomes the mental anchor, shaping how you evaluate everything that follows. I've heard of this before in marketing.
Restaurants use this too. One extremely expensive item at the top of the menu isn't meant to sell, it's there to make the rest of the menu feel affordable by comparison.
I can, now that we're talking about this, I can actually see that.
Yeah. It's just wild. Like when if you dive really deep into it, you just look at the world around you so different.
Yeah, I think we're gonna get more into it in a minute. And I think let's go on just a little bit more before we take a break. What do you think?
Sounds good.
All right. Um, s- there's social proof. If everyone else likes it, well, it's got to be good because we as humans are deeply influenced by the behavior of others, especially in uncertain situations.
Online reviews, star ratings, testimonials, and bestseller labels all tap into social proof, the instinct to follow the crowd. A product with thousands of reviews feels safer than one with none, even if the quality is identical.
Influencers in marketing, they amplify this effect. When someone you admire or feel connected to uses a product, your brain treats it less like advertising and more like a recommendation from a friend. And this popularity becomes a shortcut for trust.
There's also an authority bias. The trust the expert. We're conditioned to trust authority figures, even when their expertise is only implied. That's why ads often feature doctors and lab coats, people with official sounding titles, or authoritative voices delivering confident claims. The visual cue alone can increase credibility, even if the person isn't a real doctor or the endorsement has little to do with actual expertise. Celebrity endorsements work the same way. Fame creates perceived authority. If a well known figure uses a product, it must be worth using. At least that's how the bias works.
Okay, I can actually see this, right?
Mhm.
You see this?
Activia.
Yeah. And then the new one, the dentist that's like in the movie theater, like everybody else is in plain clothes while the dentist is in, well, the white jacket and their scrubs,
Hmm. Hmm.
kind of like they would be in an office. I think before we get into the unspoken doubt, I say let's take a small break.
Sounds good.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
William, I know how you love matcha tea with coconut milk.
Yeah, it's clean energy without a crash.
Then you'll love Mantra Matcha. They offer super premium ceremonial matcha and 6 superfood infused flavors made from the finest, youngest tea leaves for a naturally sweet, ultra smooth taste.
With each flavor, it's infused with powerful superfoods like cacao, ginger, and goji berries. And they also have those classic favorites like banana cacao, strawberry lemon, cinnamon goji berry, plus superfood berry, ginger beet, and rosehip dragon fruit. It's organic, non-GMO, gluten-free with 0 grams of sugar. You can enjoy it like me, or maybe hot or in a smoothie like Cat. Every purchase helps provide meals to kids through No Kid Hungry.
It's at mantramatcha.com. Get 15% off using our code INFOGO at checkout. Both links are in the show notes.
Hey, everybody, we want to tell you about strong coffee. Every morning it starts with a choice. You can settle for just coffee, or you can rise up with strong coffee. And it's the world's strongest cup of joe. Strong isn't just a drink, it's a movement. It stands for striving to reach our natural greatness.
It's born from one simple need to be better. They rebuilt coffee from the ground up, infusing organic coffee with collagen, protein, nootropics, and functional ingredients that fuel your body and sharpen your mind. No crash, no compromises, just clean energy, focus, and flavor that fires you up.
Yeah, so whether you're chasing kids, chasing goals, or chasing greatness, don't just do it with coffee, do it with strong coffee. And our listeners can save 20% off just by using our code INFOGO at checkout. Hey, if you're looking for your favorite band or sports team or TV show, check out Old Glory. They've been in operation since 1969 and they have over 300,000 items. They have from the Beatles all the way to Metallica, NFL, NBA. It really doesn't matter what you're looking for. They have tees, hoodies, hats, gifts, everything a true fan could ever want. And it's family owned and operated. They have fast shipping, free standard delivery on every order. And you know what? Our listeners get a 15% off at checkout using our code InfoGo. You can find the link in the show notes. So now that we're back, so let's get into the reciprocity and the unspoken debt. Because when someone gives us something, we feel a subtle psychological obligation to give something back. And this is known as reciprocity. And it's one of the oldest principles of influence. You know, I can see that in those free samples, those complimentary gifts, the giveaways. I can see that they're not just generosity now, they're strategy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because once you receive that free, even though it's something small, your brain nudges you toward returning the favor with a purchase, a sign up, or brand loyalty. Hey, Coca-Cola, I'm kind of feeling distant.
Right. You know, the message isn't said out loud, but it's felt. We gave you something, now it's your turn. The cognitive biases don't force us to buy, they quietly shape how options feel. By anchoring prices, leveraging crowds, invoking authority, and triggering reciprocity, marketing doesn't argue with logic, it works around it.
So let's get into the power of visuals and color design. Before we read a single word or compare a single feature, our brains react to what we see. And the visual processing, well, it happens faster than conscious thought, which means design often decides whether a product feels trustworthy, urgent, premium, cheap, all within seconds.
Right.
Dang, that is mind blowing.
hmm And colors aren't just aesthetic choices either, they're emotional signals. Red is associated with urgency, excitement, and alertness. It raises heart rate and grabs attention, which is why it's commonly used for clearance sales, limited time, limited time offers, and fast food branding. Red doesn't invite you to think, it tells you to act.
Maybe we should have made our logo red.
No,
You're right. I love our logo.
me too.
It's warm and inviting to me.
Same.
Yeah. Blue signals trust, stability, and reliability. And studies show that people associate blue with calm and competence, which is why banks, tech companies, and social media platforms, well, they use blue heavily because it reassures the brain this is safe.
You
Yeah.
know, green is tied to health, nature, and balance. It suggests freshness and well being, making it a favorite in organic foods, wellness products, and environmental branding. Even when a product isn't truly healthier, green can make it feel that way.
All
Yeah.
right, so hold on. So our logo has green in it, and
Hmm.
we didn't do that to make you feel anyway. It really is healthy.
Right, right.
It feeds the brain.
It does.
Yeah,
A
we
little bit of
feed the brain.
knowledge at a time.
Absolutely. Honestly and truly, reading without reading, because fonts shape perception long before content does. Serif fonts, well, their small decorative strokes are often associated with tradition, authority, and professionalism. They're commonly used by newspapers, universities, and luxury brands to signal credibility and history. And honestly and truly, we didn't think about any of this when we were designing our logo. It was just
Hmm.
like, this looks good.
Right. You know, sans serif fonts feel modern, clean, and approachable. Tech companies favor them because they're easy to read on screens and signal innovation and simplicity.
Layout matters just as much, right? Because it's clean, uncluttered design reduces cognitive load and increases perceived credibility. When something looks simple and organized, well, the brain assumes it's well thought out and trustworthy, even before evaluating the actual message.
All right, so let's package the psychology here, judging what's inside by what's outside. Packaging is a silent salesman.
You know, I've often heard that labels are the silent salesman.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, in retail, labels are everything. If you go into a grocery store or anywhere and you don't see the label faced out, you've just missed everything, haven't you?
Yeah, because people don't know what it is.
Yeah. Anyway,
Size illusions are everywhere too. Taller containers are perceived as holding more than shorter, wider ones, even when the volume is identical. Strategic spacing inside packaging can make products feel more substantial, more premium, or more valuable than they actually are.
the design style sends powerful signals. Luxury brands often use minimalism, muted colors, lots of white space, and subtle text to communicate exclusively and confidence. And the message is we don't need to shout it. And in contrast, discount packaging, well, it tends to be busy, colorful, text heavy, signaling value, abundance, and deals. The message here is urgency and savings. Look at what you're getting.
Right. Visual design doesn't just decorate a product, it frames how it's judged. Through color, typography, and packaging, brands guide emotions, set expectations, and influence decisions before logic ever even enters the picture.
And then you have the pricing psychology. Why does 9.99 work? Well, the price feels like math, right? But the way we experience price is emotional, not logical. And marketers, they don't just set prices to reflect value, they set them to shape perception. And few things reveal this better than the humble 9.99. But wait, there's more.
Right. The power of the left digit. When you see a price like 9.99, your brain doesn't read it as basically $10. Mine does. But instead, it anchors on the leftmost digit, the 9. This is known as the left digit bias.
Yeah, because multiple studies they show that consumer psychology show that price ending in 0.99, they're perceived as being way cheaper than the next whole number. Even though the difference is only 1 cent, the brain, well, it categorizes the price as being the $9 range, right? Rather than
Right.
the $10 range.
Right.
I think it depends on how much money you got in your pocket.
Even that tiny shift keeps System 1 in control. Rounding up would trigger more analytical thinking, but 9.99 feels safe, familiar, and cheaper. So the purchase often happens without further thought.
So, what about the decoy effect? Why the middle option wins? Have you ever noticed that you almost always choose the middle option? Well, that's no accident. The decoy effect, well, it works by introducing an option that makes another choice look like it's the best value, even if you wouldn't have chosen it in otherwise, right? So the classic example is movie theater popcorn. The small is $5, medium is 6.50, large is 7. Well, the medium really exists mainly to make the large feel like a bargain. The comparison shifts your focus from do I need popcorn to which size is the smartest choice. You know, I can see that. I don't know of a movie theater where I could go get $7 large popcorn. It's more like $27.
Right.
I'm sorry, that's what it feels like anyway.
It does every time. Well, I haven't been to the movies in a long time.
Um, the last time I went, I think I spent $30 at the concession stand and I got like a drink, some popcorn, and some candy.
Hmm.
Yeah. We need to do a whole episode on that movie concession stand.
I'm big on movie nachos.
Oh man, it depends on where you go. There's
That's
one here by my house, the nachos are horrible. The one a little further down the road in another county, the nachos are excellent.
I mean, I'm really not a nacho snob, but like I don't care if the chips come in a plastic bag and they just like put squeezed cheese, okay, in the cup. Like I'm just down for nachos while I'm watching a movie.
Not not me. I gotta have that big tub of butter. I mean, that
You like butter with your nachos?
yeah, I do. But I like that big tub of popcorn, and I like to go over there to that butter squeeze thing, and I just like to pump, 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 pump.
He says I want to have the all of the butter on my
All of
popcorn. It must be soaking.
I need to have all of the butter out of this machine. Just put it in a cup and let me drink it.
Oh,
But
right.
but I mean that butter, it's not really butter. I get it. It's more like oil flavored, but it's so good.
Subscription tiers work the same way too. A basic plan feels limited, a premium plan feels expensive, and the middle option feels just right. And this is not about need, though, it's about relative value. Perceived value versus actual value. Does paying more feels better? Here's the uncomfortable truth, though. Expensive products often feel better, even when they're identical. Research shows that higher prices can increase perceived quality and even change user experience. In blind tests, people consistently rate products as better when they believe they cost more. Wine tastes better, painkillers work better, skincare feels more effective.
I think that's called the placebo effect.
Right.
But I mean, we really need to do one on wine taste testing. We
Yes.
we really do. I mean, because there's a whole big thing behind that. But anyway, the price itself, well, it becomes part of the experience, right? Because paying more tells our brains that the product must be superior, and the brain adjusts perception to match that expectation. So first of all, let's go to mac and cheese. There's only one mac and cheese that is Kraft mac and cheese. It can be $1.50. The store brand can be 15 cents, and the store brand will taste like crap every time.
Same.
Yeah, it's got to be Kraft. Now, that's only one example. There are some things like, I don't know, store brand sugar versus Dixie Crystal. Like, you can't really tell a big difference. All
No.
right, save the Dixie Crystal hate mail, okay? We're just trying to make a point here. I think pricing isn't really about numbers, right? It's more about perception. That's what we're saying. And though the charm of pricing, strategies that companies use, comparisons, they're all value framing. Uh, and marketers don't just tell us, what something costs, they tell you what it's worth. And your brain, well, it believes that.
Storytelling and brand loyalty. People don't remember product specs, they remember stories. Long after prices and features fade, the emotional narrative attached to a brand is really what sticks. That's where loyalty is born.
Yeah, Coke. So I was wondering, but one of these stories stick. The human brain is wired for stories. Neuroscience shows that narratives activate multiple areas of the brain at once: emotion, memory, imagination. They all make stories far more memorable than facts alone. Yeah, I 100% get that. Yeah. Do you remember the first time you had a Pepsi with somebody or shared a Pepsi with somebody?
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, same. I mean, yeah, Coke. But still, I mean, those memories are there, right?
yes,
I get how they can build loyalty from that.
right,
Yeah.
right. That's why brand origin stories are so powerful. A company isn't just a corporation, it becomes a journey. A founder in a garage, a problem that needed solving, a mission bigger than profit. These narratives create emotional memory, and emotional memory drives performance.
So when a brand has a story, buying that product or that brand, well, it's like you're part of that story. It's like you're part of telling that story. And that's not just making a transaction, that's becoming the story, right? Itself.
Right. So parasocial relationships are one-sided emotional bonds we form with people we hear or see regularly, such as podcast hosts, YouTubers, or influencers. And over time, repeated exposure creates familiarity, trust, and the feeling that you know them, even though the relationship isn't reciprocal.
Mm. So when influencers like Kat and myself endorse a product or we read an ad, you know, in our own voice, well, the brand borrows our trust, right? Or the trust of the podcast or the actor. And the recommendation feels personal, like advice from a friend rather than a sales pitch, which we try our best only to have sponsors we believe in.
Right. The result, loyalty without a formal relationship. And consistency and trust are the comfort of the familiar. Trust isn't built overnight, it's built through repetition. So when a brand looks, sounds, and behaves the same way over time, it becomes familiar. And psychologically, familiarity becomes safe. And this is known as the mere exposure effect. The more often we encounter something, the more we tend to like it.
Yeah, and then you have consistent logos, colors, messaging, tone, and values reduce uncertainty. And the brain prefers what it recognizes because recognition requires, well, less effort and less risk. And I think the big takeaway here is brand loyalty isn't just about discounts or features, it's about connection. It's about storytelling, parasocial bonds, consistent presence, and brands move from being choices to being companions in people's lives, in everyday people's lives. Coke.
Pepsi,
Have we
you
drilled
know,
this home enough yet?
maybe not.
Okay.
y- there is an ethical line between influence and manipulation. Marketing at its best helps people discover products they genuinely want or need. But there is a line, and it's often thin and blurry, between influence and manipulation. And not every campaign stays on the right side of it. So, when does marketing go too far? The ethical line is crossed when persuasion becomes coercion. So-called dark patterns are design choices intentionally created to mislead or trap users, like hidden subscription opt outs, confusing cancellation processes, pre checked boxes, or countdown timers that reset every time you refresh the page. These tactics don't inform the consumer, they exploit inattention and confusion.
Yeah, addictive design pushes even further. Endless scrolling, autoplay variable rewards, and non notification loops are engineered to keep users engaged far longer than intended. These systems borrow heavily from gambling psychology, unpredictable rewards that trigger dopamine spikes and make stopping difficult. At that point, the goal isn't helping you choose, it's preventing you from leaving.
Right. Who's the most at risk? Some groups are more susceptible to manipulative marketing than others, and children lack the cognitive ability to recognize persuasive intent, so they often can't distinguish between entertainment and advertising, especially in games, influencer content, and branded cartoons.
And then what about the elderly? Uh, you know, they may be targeted with fear-based messaging, urgency tactics, or misleading claims, especially in healthcare, financial services, and tech support scams. And impulse buyers, often shopping while tired, stressed, or emotional, are especially vulnerable to scarcity cues, one-click purchases, uh, you know, everything that's designed to bypass the reflection.
We have to have consumer awareness, though. Knowledge is a defense. The most effective defense against manipulation as a matter of fact. When you recognize the tactics, scarcity cues, anchoring, social proof, dark patterns, their power weakens. The brain shifts from fast emotional system one thinking to slower, more analytical system two thinking.
So, marketing works best in the dark. And once the lights are turned on, its influences become a choice, not a trap. So, honestly and truly, ethical marketing respects autonomy. Manipulative marketing exploits vulnerability. And the difference lies not in whether influence is used, but how and to whom it's used to target.
Right. So, how do we outsmart marketing? Well, marketing works best when you're rushed, distracted, or emotional. Outsmarting it doesn't require willpower, it requires awareness and a few simple habits that slow the process down. I don't know about not having to have willpower. I have got to have willpower not to buy brownies or cookies or ice cream.
I guess let's dive in and give our listeners some practical tips, right?
Hmm.
I think small pauses, well, big impact. The single most powerful move anybody can make is to pause. And when I stand in front of that door and I see the choice between water and Coke, if I'm impulsive, I'm gonna grab the Coke. But if I stop and think about it, hey, the water is the best option for me. And
Right,
even that short pause, a few seconds, well, it really interrupts that automatic system one thinking. And before I make the wrong choice or click on the wrong thing or grabbing an item off the shelf, I just have to ask myself a simple question. Why do I want this right now? Is it solving a real problem or is it responding to urgency, scarcity, or emotion?
Another powerful tactic is to avoid impulse heavy environments whenever possible. Late night online shopping, social media ads, and one click checkouts are engineered for fast decisions. Shopping when you're tired, stressed, or bored dramatically increases susceptibility to marketing tricks.
Change the question. Instead of asking, is this cheap? Ask yourself, is this worth it? Comparing value rather than price, well, that shifts your thinking from emotion to evaluation. A higher priced item that lasts longer, works better, or truly fits your needs may be the better decision, while a cheaper impulse buy, well, it can end up costing you more over time.
Right. So for big decisions, one rule stands above the rest: sleep on it. Time is the enemy of manipulative marketing. Urgency fades, emotions cool, and clarity returns. If you still want the product after a night or a week, it's far more likely to be a conscious choice a rather than a triggered response.
I gotta honestly say, my dad used to say that all the time. When you have a big decision, sleep on it. You don't need to beat marketing, right? You just really need to slow it down. And when you pause, question, or reframe, you kind of move the decision back where it belongs, and that's with you, the
Right.
consumer.
Exactly. So the next time you grab milk or five items you didn't plan to buy, remember, marketing works because it's human, but understanding the psychology behind it puts the power back where it belongs.
Yeah, I can't believe it took us this long to record this. I love this episode. I thought this was informative. And thank you for suggesting it. I found it to be knowledgeable, to say the least. I see me getting trapped in a lot of these pitfalls here.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the more you know, and I even told my daughter this. We were shopping for the first year we moved into our house. We went to go shopping for Christmas tree, all the good stuff. And of course, on the way to the garden center where the Christmas trees are, there is a line of toys stacked, floor from like basically to ceiling of nothing but toys for Christmas and stuff. And so we're walking back to go check out or go back to the car or something, and she's just getting caught there. And I was like, "No, but you're getting caught in a trap. You right here is why this exists. You're getting caught in a trap. Let's go."
Man, those toys were always so spectacular.
They were.
My wife refuses to go Christmas shopping with me where they have the little stuff things where you press the button and they sing.
Hmm.
When my kids were younger, and I'm not going to name the store, but they had 4 or 5 shelves of these things at least 12 feet down. I was like, you take on the bottom, you take on the middle, I'll take on the top. Let's go. And we went down there pressing all the buttons. And the sales clerk was like, really? You're really gonna do this now? Yeah, I really am.
uh, in any case, I hope this helps somebody else too. If you would like to support this podcast, tell a friend and help get the word out.
Yeah, if you would like to help us keep the show going, you can do so at Patreon. You can find that link in the show notes.
William and I want to thank you for listening.
Yes, thank you.
You can join the Facebook group at Info on the Go.
Over there, you can share with us your show ideas or look at those wonderful things Kat is posting now.
Absolutely. You could even ask us a question.
But whatever you do, make sure you hit that follow button wherever you get your podcast.
Send us a text using the link in the show notes or leave a review.
Hey, and leaving that review really does help others find us, and we greatly appreciate it. If you would like, you can email us at,
Info on the Go podcast at gmail.com.
and yes, that is all one word. Till next time.
Stay curious.